Jeff's Superscript is brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Collectibles, in my opinion, the best comic shop and clubhouse on the internet. Follow them at Black Cat Burbank on Instagram and join their claim sales on Tuesdays for new books and Fridays for back issues. And don't forget to ask about joining their Stray Cats Club for special perks.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either March 23rd or 24th, 2021. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? I'm going to start off this video by asking you kindly to please go ahead and hit that like button right now. Just go ahead and minimize, hit it, and we can continue. All of your likes are really appreciated. Thank you very, very much. All right, let's go ahead and take a look first at my pick from 2 weeks ago, and that was The Joker from DC Comics. Now the question is, was this a worthy pick for my just one book from 2 weeks ago? And the answer is yes. 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 Listen, as you all know, I'm a big James Tynion IV fan, and I thought it was really well written. I also thought that James Tynion IV found just the right tone for what a Joker book should be. It was definitely a bit dark, and I think that DC in general should lean in to the darkness of the Joker a little bit. They should make him really evil and really scary. So I feel like The Joker book leaned into that just a little bit. My one problem with it was one that I mentioned in the video when I was talking about this book originally, and it is that it is a James Gordon book. It is not much of a Joker book. It was all Gordon until like the last 2 or 3 pages when we got a glimpse into what the Joker is up to. It bugs me a little bit to have a book called The Joker be so heavily focused on James Gordon. But hopefully, as you know, you kind of had to set up what the premise is, and the premise is that James Gordon is going to be trying to chase down the Joker. So hopefully, as the book gets into the swing of things, we'll get a little bit more Joker in the book called The Joker. Now that we're past the initial setup for the concept of the book, but that remains to be seen. If it keeps its dark tone and it keeps its stellar writing by James Tynion IV, which I expect, I think I will still enjoy reading it. I just hope that, once again, there's a lot more Joker eventually in a book called The Joker. All right, let's go ahead and move forward and take a look at the books that are coming out this week. First, by taking a look at my cover pick of the week. And there were some decent covers out there, nothing too substantial. It was kind of a light week for cover picks for me, once again, this week. But I went ahead and I made a choice. And my choice this week is Batman Black and White #4, this cover by Simone Bianchi. At first, this cover might be on the verge of being a mess. But as I look at it and start to take in all the little details, it's one of those covers that I keep looking at, and I'm interested in observing all the little details in this cover. Now, is it the best cover that I've ever seen in my life? No, but it's the best one I saw this week. And that's why I have made it my cover pick for this week. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the books that are coming out this week. There's a decent amount of them. I'm going to try to move through them as quickly as possible. As has become tradition on these videos, I am using League of Comic Geeks to source my information on these books. League of Comic Geeks presents the list from the book that has the most amount of polls or the highest amount of interest to the least amount of polls or the lowest amount of interest. I will be presenting this list from the least amount of polls or the least amount of interest to the most amount of interest at the very end. Let's get started by looking at a new book that comes out called Lady Freedom #1 from Second Sight Publishing. There are 3 books that are from this Second Sight Publishing that is new to me that are coming out this week. This Lady Freedom #1 is basically Second Sight Publishing's attempt at a superhero story. It doesn't look very interesting to me, but if you want to check out a superhero story from what appears to be a new publisher, maybe you want to check it out. Similarly, the next book, The Edge #1, also from Second Sight Publishing, appears to be like their version of a sci-fi comic. If you're interested in a sci-fi comic from a new publisher, you might want to check this out. I don't recommend either of those two. This third one, though, is a little bit interesting to me. It's called Book of Lyaxia #1, also from Second Sight Publishing. It's interesting because it's a world where gods from different mythologies, Greek, Egyptian, Norse, Roman, all live together. And there's these brothers, and there's this like coup, and it's kind of a more interesting premise when you take all these different gods from these different mythologies and throw them all into the same environment, and to see like how that plays out. That could be interesting. If this is done well, that could be pretty cool. So if you're looking for something to check out from this publisher, Second Sight Publishing, this would be the one of the 3 that I would recommend. This next book I want to mention to you is called Black Beacon #1 from Heavy Metal. These heavy metal books have become interesting to me. Let me read the description of this to you. There's an intergalactic space station out there bigger than our solar system that wants everyone to come along and meet up. The beacon made it sound like a utopia, but what Nico finds upon her arrival is a lawless expanse where everyone is out for themselves, and she's so late she doesn't even have a seat at the table. A story of survival, truth, and experience lies in front of Nico if she can figure out who to trust and what to do before the secret of her journey catches up with her. A sci-fi tale about inability, inequity, and inattention to detail. It sounds like it could be interesting. It sounds like it could be good. As I mentioned sometimes in these videos, this is a book that I would pick up and flip through if you see it on the shelf. Possibly, and if it draws your attention, maybe you check it out and pick it up. It sounds like it could be interesting, so I give it a soft recommendation. The next book I want to mention to you is Cold Dead War #1, also from Heavy Metal. This is an interesting premise as well. Trained to kill enemies of the American democracy and freedom, the Pacific Pearl team continue to carry on their mission, even now, long after they've already given their lives to the cause. A horror war series set across the past, present, and future. A freak occurrence reanimates an island of freshly killed soldiers in the wake of the Battle of Midway in World War II. Cold Dead War is the official sequel to the well-known heavy metal animated film segment B-17, written by George C. Romero, son of legendary film director George A. Romero, and heir to the Romero Dead media franchise. Well, Romero is amazing. I don't know what his kid is capable of, but George A. Romero, that's a thumbs up in my book. And this is an interesting premise as well. If you're a World War II fan, if you're a Reanimated Corpses fan, if you're a horror fan, this might be a book for you. This next one I want to mention is called Rabid World #1 from Scout Comics. Here's the description. It was like any other morning until it wasn't. Growing from the rural areas, it was a simple dog bite. But at the end of the day, civilization was collapsing. The outbreak left people rabid, devoid of their humanity, left with only a violent rage. When an outbreak of rabies-like virus devastates the world, it's a fight for survival in a world gone mad. 2 couples set off on desperate courses, one for survival and one to save the world. Will a vaccine be found? Will the survivors make it to a safe place to hole up? This is interesting. It sounds almost like a zombie story, with a viral twist. Actually, it sounds a lot like a zombie story, but just about rabies. And that's my review on that description. I don't think that's a pass. That's a pass. The next one I want to mention to you is Firefly, a brand new verse, number 1. Something I didn't mention earlier in this video. If you want to see more information or hear me talk more about those 3 books from Second Sight Publishing and also this upcoming one that I'm mentioning right now, Firefly, a brand new verse, go to my FOC video that I made a few weeks ago. I'll put the card for it right up there if you want more detail on some of these books that I'm talking about in this video. But I'm not going to read the description of this because I read it in that FOC video, but this is a new Firefly book. Firefly is pretty cool. I liked the TV show. I liked the movie. I haven't been reading the comics, but this is a new crew of the Firefly ship. Firefly, the Serenity is the name of the ship. Yes. If you want to spec on some new Firefly characters, this is a book for you. The next book I want to mention to you is a TMNT Best of Michelangelo number 1. I only mention this because I want to let you know that if you are a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, this Best of Michelangelo might be interesting to you. I don't know what these collections, all it says is cowabunga. It's time for everyone's favorite party turtle, Michelangelo. Spanning decades and publishers, this huge collection features the best stories focusing on the Nunchuck Ninja. It's only $6. If you're a new fan to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you want to go back and see some of the history of their stories, this is a book for you to check out. The next book I want to mention to you is Lady Baltimore number 1. This is from Dark Horse Comics. It says, once she was Sophia Valk, living in a village overrun by evil. In time, she became Lord Baltimore's most trusted ally. Now, more than a decade after his death, Europe has erupted with the early battles of World War II, and dark forces are rising again. With witches, vampires, and Nazis on the march, Sophia must embrace the title of Lady Baltimore. So, it's a historical witches, vampires, Nazi, Van Helsing kind of thing, it sounds like. Those can be pretty cool. This is a limited series of 5, so, these type of stories, these type of sort of fantasy horror stories could be fun to check out. For some people more than others. Not exactly my thing, but if this sounds like it might be in your wheelhouse, this historical fantasy horror stuff, this might be a book to check out. The next book I want to mention to you is Post-Americana number 4. And I mention it only because I'm really liking Post-Americana. It's absurd and over the top, and I enjoy it. It's on my pull, so I wanted to mention that number 4 is coming out this week. The next book I want to mention to you is King in Black, Scream number 1. The description's short. I'll read it to you. It says, Scream returns. Andy Benton has faced other symbiotes before, but never has she faced the power and might of Null himself. Does Scream have what it takes to put a dent in Null's symbiotic armor, or is this the end for Scream? We're doing a whole Null story in the Marvel Universe. You gotta pull out all the symbiotes, and here's another one. So if you're a big fan of symbiotes, if you want to get all of the King in Black tie-ins and all of the King in Black story, of course you're gonna pick this up, but especially you're gonna pick this up if you're a big fan of symbiotes, and I know there's a lot of you out there. The next book I want to mention to you is Scumbag number 6. Similar to Post-Americana, I mentioned this book because I'm a fan of it. I'm really enjoying Scumbag. It's a really fun read for me. It's on my pull this week. I'm excited about checking it out. It makes me smile every time I read it. This is the beginning of a new story arc on this book. So if you hadn't jumped on for issues number 1 through 5, issue number 6 might be a great place for you to jump on. The next book I want to mention to you is Haha number 3. I mentioned this also because it's on my pull and I'm enjoying it, and so I wanted to bring it to your attention. These types of books are not for everybody, but if they're for you, you already know all about it. Haha number 3 is no news to you. You knew it was coming. Here's just a reminder that Haha number 3 will be coming out this week. The next book I want to mention to you is Carnage, Black, White, and Blood, number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. It's short. Carnage rules. Witness the cerebral chaos caused by Carnage, brought to life by some of the greatest creators at Marvel. But beware, true believers. True to their titular character's namesake, these spine-chilling tales are not for the faint of heart and presented in black, white, and blood. It's kind of fun when they take a bunch of different writers and artists and pull them together to tell the story of a certain character. We're going to get into that, a similar book like to this one later in the video. Basically, once again, similar to Scream, if you're a symbiote fan, you're going to want to read this. You're going to want to check this out. If you're a Carnage fan, you're going to want to read this. You're going to want to check this out. I kind of sort of missed the whole Carnage era. So Carnage is a bit of a mystery character, and the appeal of Carnage is a bit of a mystery to me, but I know the character is very popular, so I wanted to make sure that you had it on your radar this week. The next book I want to mention to you is Harley Quinn #1. If you want more information about this book, I recommend going to the FOC video that I referenced earlier in this video. So it's, Harley Quinn's back. She was gone. Her last series went to issue 75, and it ended. And then there was some future state, and that ended. And now there's a new title. And people like Harley Quinn. And Harley Quinn is in a good guy mode, and I guess has been, and is looking for redemption. And I guess this is the book and the title in the series that is supposed to be about Harley Quinn's redemption. I think Harley Quinn's more fun as a bad guy, personally, than she is as a good guy. But that remains to be seen. I hope for the best for the character, because I know a lot of people are fans of her, have a lot of emotional investment, sort of, in her. So for all of you, I hope that this book turns out to be fantastic, but I am skeptical. I'll admit it. Let me know if you read this book and you liked it a lot. The next one I want to mention to you is Batman, Black and White #4. This is from DC Comics, obviously. This is similar to what we saw from the Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. It's we've talked about Batman Black and White before. We're taking some guest artists and guest writers and putting them together and, letting them kind of strut their stuff with what is probably one of the coolest, best characters ever created in comic books, Batman. I liked issue #1 because of the certain elements in it. I haven't read issues #2 or 3, and I think I missed out on one of those because I think one of them had a new character in it, so people were specking on it. But for me, this is all about who is writing and who the artists are. And so I am actually going to be picking up this one. Why? Because we have Joshua Williamson as a writer. We have... who else that I like? Terry Dotson doing some art, Nick Bradshaw doing some art, and we have Rachel Dotson doing some art, and we have Chip Zdarsky doing some writing. And the more and more Chip Zdarsky that I come across, the more I like Chip Zdarsky. So once I saw Chip Zdarsky's name on this book, I immediately was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break down and I'm going to buy this one. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. The next book I want to mention to you is this is a good one. This is Alien, #1 from Marvel Comics. Yeah, so, as most of you probably already know, Marvel Comics now is in possession of the rights to the Alien characters and the Predator characters, and we're seeing their first example of these two characters in the Marvel Universe here with this Alien book. I hope that they find some kind of clever way inside this Alien book to make it feel like it's part of the Marvel Universe. That it's not just another alien story of astronauts or colonists in space having to deal with the xenomorph threat. I hope that there, at least at some point, somebody like makes a reference to Thor, or I think I saw a variant that had a Star-Lord reflected in the skull of a xenomorph. I hope that they find some fun and clever way in this first issue, I mean out the gate, to make it feel like when you're reading this Alien book, you're reading a book that's part of the Marvel Comics universe. Remains to be seen. I don't know that I'm going to be reading Alien past issue number 1. I don't know that I'm a big enough fan of xenomorphs to read an Alien dedicated title. I'm interested to see how their influence impacts the Marvel comic universe at large, but I'm absolutely picking up issue number 1 because I want to check it out. I'm curious to see what Marvel has planned for it, and it's kind of exciting. It's kind of fun to see such a major character show up now officially as part of the Marvel Comics universe. The next book I want to mention to you is Once and Future number 17. I'm impressed that Once and Future is this far up the list, in fact. I have been reading Once and Future. I've been enjoying Once and Future, but I could see it being for a select group of readers. But it's pretty high up this list, and that's pretty cool. The only reason I mention issue number 17 specifically is because I just want to mention it's pretty cool that it's high up on this list and that it's in my poll, and I like it, so I want to point it out to all of you. The next book I'm going to mention, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to talk about something that I'm starting to do in these videos, is the top 10 books that are in popularity as determined by the amount of polls on people using League of Comic Geeks. These are the top 10 most popular books on League of Comic Geeks this week, starting with Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn number 6 at number 10. Next at number 9, we have Guardians of the Galaxy number 12. If you watched my FOC video, issue number 12 is going to be kind of the end of something, and issue 13 is going to be the beginning of something. So if you want to get the end of something part of this beginning of something story that is going on in Guardians of the Galaxy, you might consider issue number 12. At 8, we have Savage Avengers, number 19. Next, we have Cable, number 9. Next, we have Batman, Superman, number 16. In the 5 spot, we have Miles Morales, Spider-Man, number 24. In 4th position, we have Excalibur, number 19. Heading off the top 3, we have Action Comics, number 1029. In 2nd place, we have The Amazing Spider-Man, number 62. And this week, the most popular book, as determined by polls on League of Comic Geeks, is Detective Comics, number 1034. So we see the usual suspects of, Batman, Spider-Man, Superman at the top 3 here. Man, I'm actually surprised to see Detective Comics at number 1, because I tried to get into Detective Comics during the Joker War, and all I could think is every time I picked up a Detective Comics issue from the Joker War is, why am I reading this? Because it just was not doing anything for me. Other than it being a Batman title, it was not making me happy at all. But here it is at number 1 in the place here. So obviously people are reading Detective Comics maybe just because it's a Batman title and Batman is awesome. If you're reading Detective Comics and you're like, Jeff, it's a lot better, like maybe Joker War was an anomaly, maybe in general Detective Comics is better than it was in Joker War, offer me some context. Sell me on Detective Comics if you can, because back in the day when I was collecting Batman, man, I was Batman and Detective Comics all the time. Now I'm just Batman only. So, like I said, if you have some information on Detective Comics to share with me, please do that. All right, that brings us to our final book of the day. It brings us to the book that I would buy this week If I could buy just one book, that book would be Teen Titans Academy #1. All right, here's the description. Welcome to Teen Titans Academy, packed with both new, superpowered teens and numerous dark secrets. Teen Titans Academy's student body includes Shazam, a new Australian speedster, a trio of goth teen expatriates obsessed with Batman, and one member of this first class will become the deadly Red X. Original new Teen Titans include Nightwing, Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy. Take on the role of teachers and mentors for superpowered teens. Their goal, to shape the next generation of heroes. Well, something that I mentioned when I made my FOC video about this title, there's a lot of things going for this book. It might be derivative, but it's got a lot of things going for it. One, we're getting first appearances of what appears to be several new characters. That is never to be ignored. There's a lot of bang for your buck when you can buy a book that has multiple first appearances in it. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, I've mentioned this before in videos, the kids today seem to be a lot less interested in the superheroes that I grew up with. Of course, that makes sense. They don't want to read their dad's superhero books. They want superheroes of their own. Superheroes that are part of their generation, that are unique to their experience and their generation, not that's been around for decades and decades. So I feel that when you have new, younger superhero characters, they can't be ignored, because who knows which one of these is going to be the next big breakout character that's going to be the one that the younger generation's kids are going to be like, Dad, Mom, I'm not interested in reading that jerk character. I want my own. So who knows who's going to be the next big thing, and it might take place right here in this book in one of these first appearances in these new young characters. Speaking of new characters, we have Red X. Now, Red X first appeared in the Future State Teen Titan books, where everybody thought that they were going to reveal Red X's true identity. They didn't. And at the time, I kind of avoided the spoiler on the speculation, but I think it's been long enough and it didn't pan out yet. It still might, but if you don't want to hear the speculation on it, jump 10 seconds. Everybody thinks that it's going to be Clown Hunter, but that remains to be seen. So people are specking on that character a lot because they think it might be Red X. It might not. It might be that they just introduce one of these new characters in issue #1, and then eventually they reveal that one of these new characters turns out to be Red X. Frankly, I really hope that that's the way they go. I hope that they don't take a character that's already existed someplace else and kind of turn them into Red X. I hope they give us a sort of a new character that we discover over time is actually Red X. So that remains to be seen. We'll see about that. But Red X seems to be a character that people were excited about from the animated show, and it makes sense that it seems like a lot of this Teen Titans Academy book, at least at first for now, is rooted in the mystery of who Red X is. I think DC figured out that people are going to want to, they're going to be interested in Red X, and they're taking full advantage of that in this Teen Titans Academy book. So if you think Red X has some potential as a character moving forward, you might consider checking out Teen Titans Academy on the spec of that. So there's a lot of different spec things going on here. Finally, from a spec perspective, you can't talk about Teen Titans Academy without also mentioning Marvel's Strange Academy. Strange Academy was in my top 10 books of 2020. It was a very close number 2. Arguably, you could say it was number 1, but it was technically, and other people had it this way as well, the second hottest book, the one that had gained the most on the secondary market, or the best book of 2020. Given this massive success of Strange Academy, DC's version of it can't be slept on completely. Now, part of the secondary market success of Strange Academy might have been because that book came out and people were kind of like, yeah, that sounds cute and fine. I'm not really that interested. And then all of a sudden everybody was like, it's going to be a show. It's going to be a show. They're like, really? Well, now I'm interested. Let's pay lots of money to buy it on the secondary market. I'm imagining that I'm not any smarter than anybody else, and that everybody is basically seeing the word Academy in the title, and they're like, oh, Strange Academy, well, maybe I should pick up Teen Titans Academy too, so I don't miss the boat like I did on Strange Academy. I know, I definitely missed the boat on Strange Academy. So I'm picking this up because similarly to Strange Academy being like, oh, this would make a great Disney Plus animated television show, we've already proven that the Teen Titans can make a valuable animated show. Why couldn't Teen Titans Academy make an excellent animated show for, HBO Max? Once again, this is all speculation. Who knows? It'll all boil down to whether or not it's good, whether or not people are interested in the characters. There's going to be lots of things that are going to have to come together, and the stars are going to have to align for this book to have significant value down the line. But for now, I made this my pick, and I almost chose Alien, because I was like, I always try to choose, like, which one am I most excited about? Which one am I going to read first once I have my pile? And I was like, as much as I'm interested in reading Alien, and that's a really close number 2 this week, I'm more interested in checking out Teen Titans Academy, see? I'm more interested in checking out Teen Titans Academy because I'm curious to see, it seems like DC's putting a decent amount of eggs in this basket, and I'm hoping that it pans out. So that's why Teen Titans Academy is my pick this week to be the book I would buy if I could buy just one book. All right, everybody. Thank you for sitting through my list of books that are coming out this week. If you have any of these books that you're really excited about, I'd love to hear about the books you're excited about down in the comments. Or if if there's a book I mentioned, you're like, hey Jeff, you sold me on it, I'm going to check it out. Or hey Jeff, I've been stoked about this Alien book for months, I can't wait to read it. Or, whatever one of these books. I'd like to hear what you have to think about these books this week down in the comments. Also, if you didn't already hit that like button and you appreciate me presenting all of this information to you, here's another opportunity for you to go ahead and hit that like button right now. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel and you just sat through this God knows how long video, they're always way too long, I'm sorry about that, but I try to give you as much valuable information as possible. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed already, please, I invite you to hit the subscribe guy right there, but make sure you hit the notification bell because I put out a lot of random videos and I have some goodies coming that you aren't going to want to miss. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.